We'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bosphus.
Here.
Commissioner Bauer. Commissioner Gary.
Here.
Commissioner Lynn.
Here.
Commissioner Shimmons.
Here.
Commissioner Stefanski.
Here.
Commissioner Twardy.
Here.
Commissioner Lynn.
Is Commissioner Bauer coming, or did he?
No, he has let us know that he was out of town tonight.
He's out of town. I would so move we excuse Commissioner Bauer.
Support.
Been moved, supported. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Cell phone.
Yes, if anyone has a cell phone and would like to put that on vibrate or turn it off, we would appreciate it. Also, the city manager would like to add an agenda item that is in the, it was emailed, I think, yesterday to us, and also information today. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor. There is one proposed agenda addition pertaining to the independent panel established to review proposals and/or agreements related to Sioux Brewing Company LLC's proposed development of the former water pumping station at Sherman Park.
Would that be under the city manager's report? Or
That's correct, Mayor.
so that'd be item F?
That would be correct,
Okay.
unless we hold it before the closed session.
Yeah, okay, let's go, yeah, we'll take care of it before we go into closed session. Okay. Everybody understand the asking that would need a unanimous decision by the commission? Commissioner Lynn, will you make the motion?
So move. City manager's recommendation on this item. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Bosphus.
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer. Sorry. Commissioner Gary.
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn.
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons.
Yes.
Commissioner Stefanski.
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Also, we have before us tonight, before we get into the regular agenda, a resolution of support for Ontario, Ottawa. We understand this is the first meeting that we've had since the tragedy that occurred in Ottawa with the killing of one of the guards. And then we'd just like to show our support for the city of Sault Ste. Marie, our sister city, and also all of Ontario. So we have a resolution signed by the members of the commission, and I'll read it here, and then we'll send it over to Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Mayor Amoroso and members of the Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario City Council. On behalf of the citizens of Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, we share our heartfelt sadness and grief for the tragic events that occurred on October 22nd, 2014 in Ottawa. These heartbreaking events have been a focal point of our news coverage in the United States since the shooting on October 22nd. The coverage of the devastation has been very difficult to watch, and we hereby reaffirm our commitment to the partnership between our communities. While we are thankful that our sister city of Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario was not impacted directly by the events, we know that the tragic events of this magnitude affect all citizens of a nation. Our thoughts and prayers are with you as Ontario, Canada recovers from this tragic event. Signed up by myself and the rest of the commission and the administrative staff, including our Steve Canello, our city attorney. So we'll send that to the council tomorrow. Item number 1, public comment on scheduled agenda items. Any person may reserve time to speak on an agenda item, not to exceed 3 minutes per person. Is there anyone in the audience like to speak on an agenda item tonight? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to item number 2, the consent agenda. City Clerk.
Under the consent agenda, A, minute approval. 1, approval of the minutes of the regular city commission meeting of October 20th. Recommended action, approve the minutes of the regular city commission meeting of October 20th, 2014. Item 2, acceptance of the minutes of the following boards and commissions. A, Historical Development Commission of April 29th. B, Historical Development Commission of October 14th. C, Police Fire Pension Board of September 17th. And D, Tree Commission of September 16th. Recommended action is accept the minutes of the various boards and commissions. Item B, City Manager's Report. 1, adoption of Traffic Control Order 14-2, Shawano Drive at various cul-de-sac streets. Recommended action is to approve the Traffic Control Order 14-02.
Okay, thank you. Is there any commissioner who'd like something further explained on the consent agenda or taken as our first item? Commissioner Stefanski?
So moved that the City Commission approve the consent agenda.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Simmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Stefanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosvis?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you.
Item 3, special orders of business. A, public hearing of necessity for the sidewalk replacement along Easterday Avenue, SW-1-14.
Okay, thank you very much. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. As commissioners are aware, at its October 20th, 2014 regular meeting, the City Commission received a report regarding proposed sidewalk replacement improvements along Easterday Avenue from the Community Development Director, Linda Basista, and adopted a first resolution of public improvement regarding the same. At the time, a public hearing was set for this meeting regarding the necessity of proceeding with this project. Notices about this topic have been duly sent, and a public information meeting was also held regarding the subject matter on October 16th to review plans for the improvements, explain the need for the project, and review related work activities. The actual cost of the construction is expected to be between $6 and $15 per square foot of the sidewalk replacement total costs, with the city paying 50% and homeowners paying 50%. The special assessment will be based on the actual bids for the project. There are 2 recommendations related to the subject matter. The second varies slightly from the information contained within the agenda. The first recommendation being that the City Commission hold a hearing of necessity for the sidewalk improvements on Easterday Avenue. And the second recommendation being that following the public hearing, that the City Commission approve the resolution included within the agenda materials, but that it not schedule the public hearing at this time regarding the confirmation for the special assessment role. That can be done after the bids are received by the Community Development Department. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, we'll hold a hearing of necessity for the sidewalk improvement project on Easterday Avenue, SW-01-14. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to make a comment at this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the hearing of necessity and go to the City Commission. Commissioner Tuorty.
So, do I just approve
You
that?
go to City
Close.
Manager's recommendation?
Okay.
That would be the easiest.
Okay, I'll move that we approve the city manager's recommendation.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Again, we won't know what the assessment is until the bids come in, but they were looking between $6 and $15 per square foot, and that's a pretty broad range.
That's correct, Mayor. We expect that the bids will be received during the month of December,
December, okay.
and that the public hearing regarding the confirmation of the special assessment would occur thereafter.
Okay, excellent. Anyone have any questions? We have a motion and support. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Simmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Stefanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item 4, communications from the Airport Advisory Board, FBO contract as amended.
Okay, thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. As commissioners are aware, the administration has recently been constructively negotiating a 5-year renewal of the fixed-based operator service agreement between the city and Sioux Air, Inc. An important consideration impacting these negotiations was the fact that Mr. Larry Putnam of Sioux Air reported that there have been considerable increases in operating costs, fuel cost, customer service costs, maintenance services, snow plowing costs, insurance costs, and employee costs. Although the adopted fiscal year 2015 budget included an appropriation for an increase in the amount of $2,000 to this agreement, the administration has further researched the increased costs that have been indicated to it by Sioux Air and has made additional adjustments to the existing agreement reflected in the contained agenda materials. Specifically, these adjustments include a provision that the city will provide up to $2,500 on a fiscal year basis for reimbursement of diesel fuel purchased by Sioux Air, to provide for increases in fuel costs connected with expanded services and serious weather conditions, and in the event the $2,500 is exceeded during one fiscal year, Sioux Air and the city would meet to discuss any additional reimbursements that would be provided to Sioux Air. Additionally, the proposed agreement provides the additional $2,000 increase contemplated in the fiscal year 2015 budget be retained, and that would increase the total amount remitted to Sioux Air on an annual basis by about $4,500, which was similar and equal to the amount by which the contract was increased in 2009. In researching similarly structured agreements negotiated between other municipalities and fixed-base operators, it's the administration's opinion the included agreement is reasonable and it will also meet the air needs of the community. The Airport Advisory Board has unanimously approved a recommendation that the City Commission approve the included agreement, and the administration is very appreciative of Mr. Putnam's approach to the negotiations. Accordingly, there are two recommendations related to the subject matter. The first being that the City Commission approve the included FBO service agreement, and the second being that the City Commission approve an increase in the airport budget contract services line item by $2,500, thereby bringing this line item to a total of $58,600.
Okay, thank you. Those are two separate motions in discussion with the city attorney. So, Commissioner Gary.
I'm the liaison to the airport board, and I fully support this and intend to move this recommendation. And I know that we had a meeting with the city manager and several involved people, and city manager had looked at similar airports and even structures of non-airports but other entities at different cities or municipalities, and Larry does a great job, and we are getting a really good deal with the existing contract. And he goes above and beyond, and he's got staff up there like Tom Brown that really take care of the airport very well. And they do go above and beyond even what the contract calls for. So with that, I would make a motion that we approve the included FBO service agreement. Is that two motions you say, or one?
No, there's two separate motions.
Okay.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Stefanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Torty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Motion carried. Commissioner Gary.
I also make a motion to approve an increase in the airport budget contract services line item by $2,500, thereby bringing this line item to a total of $58,600.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stefanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Torty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. And I guess it goes without saying, and on behalf of the commission, certainly thank Larry Putnam for his continued years of being the FBO operator, and he continues to do an excellent job for the city, and the airport tends to be fairly busy for a small airport, and that's a good thing for the city of Sault Ste. Marie and the surrounding area. Item number 5, we're into the city manager's report.
Item A under the city manager's report would provide for the award of a bid for the 2015 3/4 ton pickup truck for the water treatment plant. As outlined in the memorandum, on October 5th, 2014, 4 sealed bids were received and opened in the city clerk's office for the purchase of a 2015 3/4 ton pickup truck for the water treatment plant. After reviewing the bids, Sioux Motors of Sault Ste. Marie was determined to be the apparent low bidder, having submitted a cost for this purchase in the amount of $28,161.92. The staff will utilize this vehicle year-round for transportation to and from water towers and booster stations. In the wintertime, the truck would be used for snow removal at the main plant, raw water pump station, a portion of Sherman Park, 4 tanks, and 2 booster stations. It would also be used as a backup plow truck for other departments as needed, and the existing 1998 Chevrolet would be transferred to the street department to be utilized in plowing alleys, parking lots, and other portions of the city. Accordingly, I recommend that the City Commission award the bid for the purchase of this item to Sioux Motors of Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, in the amount of $28,161.92, as Sioux Motors is the apparent low bidder for this purchase.
I think you're either speaking really fast or I missed the 8. I think it's 28,161. Did you say 28?
$28,161.92.
Okay, excellent. Commissioner Lynn?
Forgot the 92 cents. I thought it was actually 2 million. So moved, the city manager's recommendation on the purchase of the truck from Sioux Motors of Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions, comments? Commissioner Tuarty?
Well, just a quick comment. It's actually a really nice bid. My husband and I have been looking at 3/4 ton pickups, and if I could get anywhere near $28,000, I'd be pretty excited. So it's very nice.
They have
to
great
see
government, they have great government bids
Yeah.
through Ford Motor
Nice
Company.
job.
You know. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Tuarty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Stefanski?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item B, under the city manager's report, would provide for the award of a bid for the Department of Public Works to have improved gate and fence improvements. And I've asked DPW Director Jim Moreau to make a presentation regarding this matter, as he has taken a positive leadership role with these improvements.
Certainly.
Good evening.
Evening, Jim.
As you're very aware, the DPW complex needs some help. It was never really designed as a public works site, but a temporary manufacturing site for the Mackinac Bridge. The city got it in 1957, and we've had it for almost 60 years. It essentially morphed into a public works site. I'm getting that. Come around the corner, turn the mic over.
People want to hear people want to hear you at home. You have important things to say.
You know, the building was probably, and the two buildings, actually the school buildings also, the 4 buildings were built with probably a 5-year lifespan intent, and, you know, we've had them for nearly 60 years now. And over the past year, we tried to make some improvements to the complex, using our operational budgets, small ones like new doors, new entry doors, new locks, a lift for the mechanics, some safety improvements, some paint on the storage building, which is, you know, needs more than paint, but we're trying our best. But we want to start right now with some bigger projects, and this gate and fence project is the first of these bigger projects that we're going to put forth to the commission for your approval. This project consists of 415 feet of chain link fence and 4 gates, primarily on the northerly side of the DPW project. We can't secure the building right now. In your packet, you can see some of the pictures of the condition of the gates we have. It really is an eyesore. It needs some improvements. Initially, we had planned for replacing only 2 gates last budget time, and we had and about 75 feet of fence. We budgeted $7,500, but as the winter went on and we started planning for this project, it was quite evident that we needed to do more. So we increased the scope of this project. But to cover the shortfall that we had in this, we would like to tap into the DPW Building Fund. Now, the DPW Building Fund was put in place a number of years ago for the construction of a brand new DPW building. Stock and equipment money and water and sewer funds went into this for a number of years with the anticipation of sometime in the future building a new DPW garage. Right now, there's currently $1.6 million in this fund. It's been sitting there untouched and unused for years. We would like to utilize this fund to cover the shortfall of $10,686 on this particular purchase. But we're also going through the budget process and the planning process of some future significant improvements to the site, and we also would like to utilize this fund for that. So this is really the starting point for improvements of the DPW complex. And some of those future improvements include paving of the parking lot, a new salt shed, some cold storage, safety improvements to the building, and a number of things. The city engineer has issued a RFQ to a number of engineering firms to begin planning for these these improvements. So we're taking steps for a logical and methodical way of planning for the DPW improvements. But utilizing the DPW fund, building fund, is a big step in getting there. So that's part of my request tonight, is to utilize those funds for this gate project.
Any questions of Jim while he's here? Commissioner Lynn?
No, Jim, happy to help him out. But those buildings were built, because of my age, I know this, the cables that you see at the Mackinac Bridge, that's where they were put together. However they put it together, but that's what those buildings were for at one time. You need a motion?
Certainly, there's two recommendations. Those are two separate motions in discussion with the city attorney, so if you'd like to.
Sure. So move we approve Jim Morrow's recommendation to the city manager's recommendation.
In the amount of, the first one's in the amount of.
$18,186. There's no pennies there.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Any further questions or comments? Thank you. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Bostos?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Stefanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Motion carried, and we'll let Commissioner Stefanski make the second motion.
So moved the city commission to approve the transfer of $10,686 from the DPW building fund to the stock and equipment fund in support of funding this project.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Stefanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Bostos?
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item C, under the city manager's report, would provide for the approval of a first resolution for public improvements within the Lakeshore subdivision regarding drainage. I have requested that Community Development Director and City Engineer Linda Bessista present regarding this subject matter.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners.
Evening.
As City Manager Turner said, this is item 2, approve a resolution to schedule a public hearing for the hearing of necessity for the Lakeshore Area Drainage District. At the last City Commission meeting, or actually back in September, you approved an initiatory resolution asking us to move forward with the plans and specs to prepare this for a special assessment, and providing the required report tonight on the results of the analysis that we've done. That in 2013, AECom prepared a study on the drainage area for Lakeshore subdivision area, and I would like to show on the overhead camera the drainage district that we're referring to. It does encompass more than just the Lakeshore subdivision proper. It's called a drainage district. There we go. That's good. So it's generally bounded by 16th Ave on the south and 24th Street on the east, and then of course the river being the third side of the triangle. What you see here is the individual drainage districts. Because I'm just so short, I'm going to move up. The individual drainage districts comprise of 5 districts. District 1 takes in 16th Avenue. District 2 includes West Ave, parts of Sherman Park Drive, and Lakeshore Drive. District 3 includes Central Avenue, and again, parts of Lakeshore Drive and Sherman Park Drive. District 4 includes the golf course, parts of 24th Street, and is bounded by 16th Street. And then East Ave runs down the middle with Sherman Park Drive and Lakeshore Drive traversing it. And then the 5th district takes in Parkway, and the rest of 24th and primarily Sherman Park, and this is where the water treatment plant is. So it's a fairly large drainage district, that being, if you can, I don't know if you can see clearly on the screen here, but you see these arrows, and what that shows is the direction of the water. So the water is collected in these individual subbasins and then is directed toward the river in each basin. So for purposes of determining the apportionment for a special assessment, I provided in your report a list of the parcels that are included in those 5 sub-drainage districts, the total area in which the parcels are in the drainage district, and the foot frontage for along the street. Typically, you've seen in a special assessment, a street special assessment, where we've assessed by the foot frontage for the street improvement. But a drainage district is a little different in that you really need to take into account the total area also of the parcel that is contributing water to the drainage district. So I'm proposing that this special assessment take into account both the total area and the front footage of each parcel in the drainage district. And then the assessment would be based on the types of based on the type of improvement that is being done in each drainage district. So we anticipate that there will be 5 different types of improvements, and the apportionment would be broken down as follows. One would be the replacement and repair of the outlet drainage ditches and culverts and the associated end treatments. That would be what I'm calling as a sub-basin cost. And so everyone in the sub-basin for that particular outlet would share based on their total areage, the total area of their parcel that is contributing to that sub-basin. The second improvement would be upsizing or replacement due to condition of cross roadway culverts and associated restoration. Again, those culverts for the roadways are associated with a sub-basin cost and should be shared in based on total area. The third would be ditching, and that would take into account the ditching along all of the roadways and any ditching needed for the outlets, and that I'm proposing that 50% be attributed to sub-basin cost and then 50% to the adjacent benefiting property owner. The fourth improvement would be upsizing of driveway culverts. As you get closer to the river, to the outlet, the culverts generally need to be larger. In this case, we have some driveway culverts that need to be upsized to 15 inches, which may be currently less than 12 or less. And so I would propose that the upsizing of the driveway culverts be an incremental cost over the 12 inches, a sub-basin cost shared by all of the properties in the sub-basin, and the cost to replace I'm calling a 12-inch culvert, a base culvert size for a driveway, again, would be the 100% of the benefiting property. So the person whose driveway is associated with the replacement of the culvert. And finally, the fifth is just simply a replacement of a driveway culvert that is in deteriorated condition or not set properly to the proper grade and elevation, and that would be 100% of the benefiting property owner. In the sub-basin costs, I'm proposing that like a road project, the ditching and the improvements are also attributed to the roadway, and therefore, when we do roadway improvements, we typically assess a roadway improvement 60% to the benefiting property owners and 40% to the city at large. So I'm proposing that in this in the calculations for the sub-basin cost, there would be an apportionment to the city as a city at large cost because of the roadway improvements. I did include in your packet an apportionment and assessment example for 2 parcels. I apologize, it's quite lengthy, and the spreadsheet associated with doing this special assessment is going to be quite involved, but I assure you that it is calculable. It is able to be calculated, with the city ending up paying a share, the city at large paying a share of the assessment. There is a public information meeting tomorrow night here in the
5 o'clock.
City Commission chambers at 5 o'clock, 5:30?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, thank you. And I'm sure a lot of time will be spent explaining the apportionment calculations. And that way, property owners will be prepared ahead of time, even though what you're approving tonight would be setting the hearing of necessity. So I don't know that there's going to be much question as to whether or not the project as a whole is necessary, as we've gotten, as you know, we've gotten a lot of complaints from property owners out in the Lakeshore subdivision area regarding drainage, and this is a much needed improvement. But I would imagine that a lot of the communication with the property owners is going to be with respect to how the special assessment is calculated. And I'm sure a lot of time will be spent on that tomorrow night at the meeting. And we may have come back to you. You may decide to, for the city to take a larger share, or you may decide that where I've indicated 50% of the ditching is sub-basin cost, 50% is benefiting property owner cost, you may want to adjust that percentage. But in the end, the idea is that the entire project needs to be paid for in some way. And so how we calculate it should be based on the benefit to the affected property owners. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Just, let me just start a few questions, and then I'm sure we'll get it. I'm planning to be here tomorrow night, and I would encourage the commissioners that are interested, just to hear the information, because on our way of looking at things, it's without the hard copies, it's hard to get it where it's actually readable, because it's so much information on the sheets. But the ditching project is so important that leaves and whatnot that might get in the ditching areas are taken out of there, so the water's allowed to flow. And people that have closed culverts or have closed in their yards without drainage, are we talking about opening those back up? Has that all been discussed with folks, or will that be part of the discussion tomorrow, so that either the city or some responsible entity's got to make sure that, especially in Lakeshore, we have a lot of trees in the community, but it seems like in Lakeshore there's even more trees because they're treed lots and they're larger lots, so that when the fall comes and the weather starts bringing the leaves to the ground, we know, you look at the community now and there's a lot of areas where that have leaves piled up along the roadways that haven't been picked up yet, or been picked up once, and now the trees are down, so now more leaves are coming out. So is there a plan to keep that effective also?
Well, I would suggest that keeping leaves, maintaining your ditch in the alignment that we set it at once this project is done will be very important. Yes. For property owners to maintain, especially in the areas where where there's cultivated yards. In a lot of this area, especially along 16th and 24th, they're not cultivated yards.
No.
So what gets in there, some of that would be the city maintaining ditches, and the city has quite a large amount of property in this entire drainage district as well. And the city will be participating, be a participant in the special assessment. But I think this will heighten the awareness of property owners that they have to maintain their ditches in a drainable condition. Some have, over years, have filled their ditch in to maybe make it easier to mow. Some have done an excellent job of maintaining, but their downstream neighbor has not. And there's a lot of failed culverts, and a lot failed just this past winter that may have been in okay condition prior to going into this project, but until this last winter, there were a lot of failed culverts. So it's even a bigger project than we might have had going into this a couple of years ago. But maintaining your ditches and culverts are extremely important in keeping this area draining.
Okay. Any other questions? Commissioner Simmons?
I'm just curious how the city is going to ensure that that's done, because some of those ditches are actually quite deep. And I'm thinking that when the project is actually underway, there's going to be some ditches that are even deeper than what we have now. And it's quite honestly rather difficult to get down into a really deep ditch and get the leaves out of there. So I'm wondering how we're going to ensure that that can be done.
Right. Do you have any comment on that, Ms. Basista?
Well, I think it's something that we could continue as we go through this project too. This is a totally new project for all of us as far as setting a drainage district and where the property owners are participants in the maintenance. And it's possible the city could take on and do routine maintenance ditching, but then some of the costs would be then assessed to the property owners.
Okay. And could you explain if there's any comparison at all in the funding mechanism that you've construed here to how like the construction of a sewer would be? I mean, is there any comparison at all to the amount of cost that's going to the property owner and versus what's going to the city? Or
yeah, there would be a direct comparison, because a sewer would be assessed based on the size of the parcel, meaning the potential ultimate service that a particular parcel would, a sewer would have to be sized to serve a particular large parcel. There may only be one house on it now, but in the future, it could be subdivided and have many houses. So a special assessment for sewer would be based on a combination of total area and front footage, and also some percentage of it would be city at large, especially if the sewer is going through an area and it ultimately plans to serve another part of the city. Okay. Sometimes the upsizing would be to serve a future area, and then the utility would pay for that upsizing until that new area came into it. I think the only difference is that I'm proposing that some of the assessment be attributed to roads, because the drainage ditches are contributed to the cost of a road, are a portion of pertinence of a road, much like a storm sewer would be if you had curb and gutter. That would be part of the drainage, and that would be assessed.
Could I ask just one more thing? I had a telephone call in the last week from someone who lives on Lakeshore Drive, and she indicated that she had gone out and talked to a city worker who, it was probably when they were picking up leaves, but he had indicated to her, or she understood, that on Lakeshore Drive there was going to be curb and gutter. Is that?
That's not true.
Okay.
There's no plan for curb and gutter on Lakeshore Drive.
Okay. I didn't recall any discussion about that at any point, so I was surprised to hear that, but Okay, that's
When
good.
this project moves forward, we are planning to do the capital preventative road maintenance project with this project for Lakeshore Drive. Different project, it'll be in
Right.
one construction contract, however.
Right, and that's wonderful, because it is in very bad shape. Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions? Thank you. City Manager. Does that conclude?
It
We're
does.
ready for a motion?
The corresponding recommendation is that the City Commission approve the first resolution for public improvement, scheduling a public hearing of necessity for 7 p.m. on Monday, November 17th, 2014 for the Lakeshore Subdivision Area Drainage District Improvements, D-01-14.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Simmons.
Yes, I would so move the manager's recommendation.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any further comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Simmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Stefanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. And then the hearing will be here tomorrow at 5 o'clock?
Right, the public information meeting
That's right.
in City Commission chambers at 5 o'clock Tuesday.
Okay, excellent.
Item D, under the City Manager's report, pertains to the appointment of the dock manager position. As commissioners are aware, Mr. John Wellington's recent resignation from the position of Harbor Master became effective on September 8, 2014. Since this time, the administration has invested a substantial amount of energy toward researching the duties inherent to the management of the Carbide Dock and is now proposing that current Ordinance Enforcement Officer Robert Brown be selected to manage the Carbide Dock as its dock manager. It should be noted the position of dock manager as proposed would be more limited in scope than the position of harbor master, which is referenced in the city charter and envisioned as a role through which more waterways surrounding the city are managed. At this time, the administrative structure of the city needs only to provide for the daily management of the Carbide Dock. The administration determined that an individual filling this position would need to render excellent customer service, act as a reliable liaison between the city and its governmental counterparts utilizing the dock, maintain appropriate credentials such as a transportation worker identification card, serve as a facility security officer in compliance with the facility security plan as required by the Department of Homeland Security, provide regulated access to the dock at all hours of the day throughout the year, and work closely with the finance department to ensure that appropriate billing occurs. Due to the critical importance of the dock to the city and community, significant outside input from users of the dock was solicited during the time the administration was reviewing this appointment. Specifically, the administration has solicited input from the U.S. Coast Guard, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and the Lake Carriers Association. Both the U.S. Coast Guard, U.S. Customs and Border Protection indicated that the course being taken by the administration is appropriate, and the Lake Carriers Association expressed no concern to the course being taken herein, given the fact that its members maintain experienced personnel who perform line handling and navigational tasks connected to docking. As noted on the included position description, which would restructure the current Ordinance Enforcement Officer position from a non-exempt to an exempt position and reclassify it as Ordinance Enforcement Officer / Dock Manager, the annual compensation for the work inherent to this position is $6,000. This amount was determined by assessing the total number of hours worked on the dock in previous years by Mr. Wellington, by evaluating the totality of the duties that would be inherent to this position, and by recognizing the fact that the dock manager must be ready at all hours of every day to respond to entities wishing to use the dock in order to continue the rendering of excellence in service. In final regards to the subject matter, it should be noted that it's understood Mr. Brown, in filling this position, would still need to devote at least 35 hours per week to work inherent to the Ordinance Enforcement Officer aspects of the position, so that there is no backsliding in the recent positive progress made by the Blight Committee and the Community Development Department. Within the past 2 months, I'd also like to commend Police Chief Riley, Fire Chief Thorpe, and Assistant DPW Parks and Recreation Director Dan Wires. They've truly done an exceptional and admirable job during the transition and making sure that services continue at the dock and really reflect the professionalism that is marks city staff. And I'd also like to thank Mr. Wellington for his long service to the community as Harbor Master. Accordingly, I am requesting that the City Commission accept the actions outlined herein regarding the dock manager position.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Twardy.
I move that the city commission accept the actions of the city manager regarding the dock manager position. I just have a,
Is there support?
Support.
Commissioner Twardy?
yeah, I just have a question though.
Sure.
However, I do think that Robert would be a great person to do this job, but I remember in our last blight meeting, he was already talking about how his duties were spread so thin, and I'm trying to figure out how he's going to add this to his list of duties.
Yep, and we've had extended conversation about that, and that's where the understanding that he would still continue to devote at least 35 hours per week to those duties would come into play, and the position moving from non-exempt to exempt would perhaps provide more flexibility in regards to hours and days of the week, to where if Mr. Brown was called in during the weekend to open up the Carbide dock for users, he may be able to actually be able to expand services to the weekend to determine if there's anything different in regards to ordinance violations on the weekend. But it was certainly a consideration.
Okay.
Any other comments? Commissioner Simmons?
I have the same concern, and even with your explanation and assurance that he would not be giving up any time as the enforcement officer, I just, I don't think that a person can humanly put in that many hours and still function at a high level. And I think that Mr. Brown does a wonderful job. I think he's a great person. You could put him in almost any position and he would do a good job. But I have real concerns about his duties with respect to the inspections.
Right, and this is absolutely something that if the commission were to accept this course of action, we would be monitoring closely to ensure there were no backsliding in the duties.
So he would be required to go out maybe at midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning? Do ships go through they go through all hours of the day and night?
They do. And in that event, if he were to respond during nighttime hours, he would be able to perform his duties at other hours of the day. He would go home, rest, and have some schedule flexibility to accommodate the wide range of duties.
Thank you.
And this is a dock master, not a harbor master, so it is a bit different responsibility. And going forward, we'll see what happens, but if it's monitored by the administration and find that it does not working, then we can always do something different. But I think Robert has done an exceptional job as the blight person, or at least as our code enforcement person, and I wish him well in this one, because I think it needs somebody that'll take the time to open up what needs to be done and do what needs to be done as the dock master, I guess. And this is a new entity for us, but I'd certainly like to thank John Wellington for his many years of service to the city of Sault Ste. Marie. Commissioner Lynn.
Do we know how many years John Wellington has been harbor master?
I think it started with when Mayor Lawrence was here, but I'm not sure if that was the case.
I believe he pointed out it was 38 years, Commissioner.
Oh, it's a lot longer than that then. Okay.
It's
Well,
quite a
even when
while.
you were mayor. 38
Well,
years. it's gotta
before
be.
that.
Well before that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we have a motion and support. Are there any other questions? Voice vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion
No.
carried. Motion carried, thank you.
Item E, under the city manager's report, pertains to the independent panel established to review proposals and/or agreements related to Sioux Brewing Company LLC's proposed development of the former water pumping station at Sherman Park. At its May 6, 2013 regular meeting, the City Commission took action to formally receive a proposal submitted by Sioux Brewing Company LLC for the redevelopment of the city's former water pumping station at Sherman Park. At that time, Mayor Bospa suggested that an independent panel be created to review any agreements arising in relation to this proposal in an effort to prevent any conflicts of interest that may arise or exist due to the fact Sioux Brewing Company LLC is owned by City Commissioner Bauer. Connectedly, action was taken by the City Commission at its June 3, 2013 regular meeting to form this panel through the appointment of Ms. Sherry Brooks, Mr. Garth McMaster Sr., and Mr. Ron Meister to the same. Within the past 10 days, Sioux Brewing Company LLC has indicated that it intends to move forward with this redevelopment and that the panel established regarding the subject matter may need to be called upon to fulfill its intended function. Additionally, after the distribution of the materials for this meeting, the administration confirmed with Mr. Garth McMaster Sr. that he has been working closely with another group of individuals not connected to Sioux Brewing Company LLC that is likely to submit a credible proposal for the redevelopment of the former water pumping station. In discussing the situation with Mr. McMaster Sr., with input being received from City Attorney Stephen Canello, the City and Mr. McMaster Sr. are in polite agreement that this constitutes a conflict of interest that would reasonably prevent Mr. McMaster Sr. from serving on the panel established to review the redevelopment of the former water pumping station by Sioux Brewing Company. Accordingly, the administration approached Mr. Fred Smith about serving on this panel on Friday, October 31st, 2014. Mr. Smith has accepted this request. Both Ms. Brooks and Mr. Meister have also both reconfirmed their commitment and willingness to serve on this independent panel and expressed that they have no conflicts of interest at this time. The administration appreciates Mr. McMaster's willingness to serve on the committee and is recommending that the City Commission appoint Mr. Fred Smith to replace Mr. Garth McMaster Sr. on the independent panel established to review any proposals/agreements related to the redevelopment of the former water pumping station at Sherman Park by Sioux Brewing Company, LLC.
Okay. So the recommendation is to appoint Fred Smith?
That's correct, Mayor.
Okay. Commissioner Tuarte?
I move that the City Commission appoint Mr. Fred Smith to replace Mr. Garth McMaster Sr. on the independent panel established to review any proposals, agreements related to the redevelopment of the former water pumping station at Sherman Park by Sioux Brewing Company, LLC.
Support.
Any comments or questions?
Just
Which one? Commissioner?
quick question.
Gary?
This expires December 3rd unless extended, but I don't recall exactly. Did that mean he had to have a proposal to us by that date, or what was his action? I can't remember.
City Manager?
I would actually defer this to our City Attorney, Steve Canello, as we've discussed this matter and would appreciate his speaking on this matter.
The exclusive dealing arrangement expires December 3rd, absent extension by the commission. There was no provision that if a proposal was received by a particular date, that the commission would accept or reject it by that date. So it's a December 3rd expiration, absent extension by the City Commission.
Okay, understood. Questions, Commissioner Simmons?
And the commission could at that time decide to not extend the agreement another time?
It would require no affirmative action.
So it just expires,
Correct.
period. And then we would be free to seek proposals from others? I realize they weren't stampeding to our door, but
That is correct. The exclusive dealing arrangement would expire on December 3rd, absent extension by the commission.
okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Any other questions? We have a motion and support. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item F under the City Manager's report does pertain to the scheduling of the closed session for the pertaining to the negotiation of collective bargaining agreements. The mayor's pleasure, I could complete the status reports at this time.
Okay, let's do the status reports, and then we'll come back to the, does that need a motion to go into, that needs a motion to go into closed session? We can deal with that now, at the end of the meeting? We could do that now?
Well, that's when you have to vote to go into closed session while you're in open session.
Right, okay, so let's do that now, and then we'll do the status reports. Commissioner Gary?
I make a motion that we go into closed session at the end of our meeting.
Support.
All those in favor signify by saying, roll call, excuse me.
Commissioner Tuarte?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Simmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Stefanski?
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. City Manager?
Item A under status report pertains to the Puller renovation project fundraising update. As of October 30th, 2014, a total of $316,942.31 has been pledged, with the total amount of cash being receipted being $148,484.
A little more, okay, that's fine.
Go into this.
You keep going,
As
sure.
far as the financial status, the total revenues generated by the fundraising efforts and through appropriations and transfers totals $1,567,253, and the total project costs are $1,398,186. This leaves a funding balance to date remaining, including cash and pledges, of $169,067. Once you back out the pledges and consider cash receipted in, the funding balance is $2,042.
Okay.
Cutting it
We're
close.
still, we're in the black. And we're moving forward, just a comment, I think maybe Commissioner Lynn also has a couple comments, but we are moving forward with the addition onto the west side. We had a small meeting of staff and myself and Commissioner Lynn tonight, or this morning, looking at some possibilities. UP engineers will draw up a sort of a schematic of what we would like, primarily taking care of the Zamboni area, a dump station, and possibly some shop area for the for our workers, and that will be pretty much the extent of it. No telling what that might cost until we get the drawings and then maybe get an engineer's estimate. We have, looking at our latest fund balance of pledges, we have around 169, and we're still working on pledges. People are still very generous and are continuing to give to the project, and so going forward, we hope that we will have at least. In my mind, I'd like to have a couple $100,000 going forward that we could put toward it, and it's certainly thanks to the committee chaired by Bob Kalia, and certainly with Bill Lynn's help and others, we've been able to reach our goal and then exceed it. So thank you to the commission and certainly the citizens of Sault Ste. Marie and the surrounding area, because a lot of people have made that aren't from the area but have been in the Sioux, home to the Sioux, and moved away, have participated with large sums of money, and we're still taking small sums of money. I don't know how many $100 bills we have, but we think there's a real either we're not touching some folks, or people just don't realize that they can give over a 5-year period $100 commitment over 5 years is $20 a year. Get your name on a plaque, and I would think we should be able to get upwards of 500 people with the amount of people that have gone through the puller, playing hockey or in Hiawatha, and others have stepped up, and we hope to continue people step up, because the Zamboni area, for safety reasons, the situation as it is now is not safe, and if you've been able to see the puller in its newly renovated state, it's still the old barn, as they say, where Commissioner Lynn played as a youngster and is still playing as an oldster, but
I'm deceptively slow.
but and as I said, people have stepped up, and we're continuing to fundraise. So we some of us will be coming around talking to people, that's for sure. Commissioner Lynn.
There is still a lot of people who said they were going to give that have not given. I think the one thing that surprised me, for $100 you get your name on a plaque. We really haven't had that many
No,
at $100. And like you say, over 5 years, that's $20 a year. It's there to help out, and it looks great. I think the only thing left is to finish off the roof over the Sewell dressing room. But as far as the leaking is all done.
Oh, no,
That's
I think the little cupolas above the vent areas on the roof.
That's got to be done. That's
gotta be
minor.
done. Yeah.
And they are having trouble with the Zamboni door because it's so heavy. But if we can raise enough money to have the Zamboni come off the west end of the building, that will all change. And there'll be maybe a partition or a door, so guys going from the
locker room one?
From the locker room to the shower, you will not be able to see, okay?
towel or more, hopefully.
But there is a lot of people that said they would donate that haven't yet, and we certainly hope that they come through, because we're going to need a few bucks more to do the west end of the building.
Okay.
Item
Thank you.
B, under a status report, pertains to the November 4th, 2014 general election, to which I have requested that Assistant City Manager Clerk Robin Troyer address.
Super. Thank you. Bonnie, if you could put the document camera up, I have a sample of the ballot here. So this is a sample of the ballot for tomorrow's election, is Election Day in the state of Michigan. This is a sample of the city precinct 1A. Precinct 1 has 2 ballot styles, so this is just a sample. It's legal size front and back, and there's 4 proposals on there. I'm just going to kind of run through what is on the ballot, give you a quick overview.
Can you turn them so that people can read it? I mean, it's,
Do you want it this way?
no, up and down.
Like that, right
There,
there
yeah.
you go.
Is that upside down, or is that right side up? Okay, no, you're right. Okay, yeah.
Okay. So like I said, it's a legal size ballot. On the ballot, you will be voting for governor and lieutenant governor, secretary of state, attorney general, U.S. senator, representative in Congress 1st District, state senator 37th District, representative and state legislator 107th District, member of the State Board of Education, Regent of the University of Michigan, trustee of Michigan State University, governor of Wayne State University, the Chippewa County Commissioner, Justice of Supreme Court, Judge of the Court of Appeals for 4th District, Judge of Probate Court, Chippewa County, Board Member to Sioux Area Public Schools. And then on the back side, there are 2 proposals, state proposals regarding the wolf hunting legislation, 1 county ambulance fire protection proposition millage renewal, and 1 local EUP ISD special education millage renewal proposal. Anybody who wants to view the ballot before they go to the polls, because it is quite lengthy, can go to michigan.gov/vote. You can find out where you're registered to vote, how to get to your precinct, contact your clerk information, and then you can view a sample of the ballot. The polls will open at 7 in the morning and they'll close at 8 p.m. And if you have any questions regarding the city precincts or voting within the city, you can contact the city clerk's office.
Any questions?
That concludes the status report portion of this meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor.
Item number 7, matters presented by the public. Is anyone in the audience like to make a comment at this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll go, thank you. Hearing none, we'll go to item number 8, matters presented by the City Commission. Just let me start by talking just a little bit about the panel discussion on the energy rate increase that's going to take place on Thursday, November the 13th at 6:30 in the middle school gymnasium. As we all know, the energy rate increase, the discussion that's been going on for about a month and a half. There's been a number of media articles, but on this given day, a number of us will be in Dearborn, including myself and a couple of the commissioners and the city manager. If we could have some of the commissioners that aren't going, and maybe our deputy city manager, or assistant city manager, deputy assistant, would go to this meeting on Thursday, November the 13th at 6:30, because I understand from the information I have here, the MISO, Mid-Continental Independent System Operator Incorporated, will be there, along with Clover Electric, and a number of people will be talking about this energy increase and trying to put the stop to this increase and trying to come up with a different solution than just the UP paying for the Presque Isle power plant. Any additional information, City Manager, on this?
Just some brief information. I have been discussing this matter with the Senior Policy Advisor for Energy from the Governor's Office, and I believe that the office, the Michigan Public Service Commission, there are a lot of entities out there right now in the Eastern Upper Peninsula that are representing our interests that are vocalizing their concerns about the extent to which these increases could damage our local economy. And we're hopeful that progress will be made, but until FERC makes a decision that either delays or removes these rate increases, we'll keep that advocacy strong.
We all realize that this is just devastating for the whole UP, not only the eastern UP, but the amount of increases that will come if this goes into effect will put a lot of people out of business. And if you have no business, then you have no reason to be living here because you can't survive. People have to have jobs. You have to, be able to make a living. And from the amount of increases that you see from the initial information that we receive, it's devastating, and it will be a dramatic impact on the amount of growth that won't occur because the people that are here now won't be able to stay. The major users won't be able to stay. It's just when you look at what Lake State was, 400,000, and they're, that's just, you got Lake State, you got Northern Michigan, you got Michigan Tech, that are just, and that's just a tip of the iceberg compared to the other people that would be going out the door too. So, Commissioner Gary?
I think several of us had an opportunity to go to an informational forum a couple weeks ago in Marquette. And then I had an opportunity to go to the UP Energy Summit last week. And it was an all-day event, and just to go over some of the people that spoke, which was pretty impressive. It started early in the morning. They had the chairman of the Michigan Public Service Commission was there. Valerie Brader from Michigan's governor's office was there in person, and she spoke at the event prior. Commissioner of the Michigan Public Service Commission, Wisconsin Energy was there, who and MISO was there, ATC, who owns all the lines, was there. Senator Mike Knopf, who's the chairman of the Michigan Senate Energy and Technology Committee, was there. Michigan DEQ was there. And there were a ton of people there, and it was a sold-out crowd. There were 250 people probably in that same room. And the one thing that I came out of there with is optimism that, believe it or not, the government is working hard from the state level at pursuing this change. I was very impressed with the Valerie Brader from the governor's office and the extent of her knowledge and what they've been doing to push this forward. And believe it or not, Wisconsin Energy agrees that Cloverland customers should not be assessed any of this. They changed their brief to the federal FERC, as they call it. So there are over 20 complaints now sitting in FERC's office, and they have delayed decisions on these, and they have to go through each of these and come to conclusions. And every single entity that was there, Michigan Public Service Commission, just about everybody is in disagreement with the initial conclusion. So I think things are going in the right direction. I had a chance to talk to each of the representatives from Senator Stavenow's office, Levin, and Congressman Benishek's office, and they said, I had written it down. They've all indicated a very high level of contact with constituents, and they've received a lot of letters, and most of them are the same canned letter that are coming from the Eastern Upper Peninsula. So we have to keep that sustained pressure. I think that Linda Hoth was there. We sat with some of the Cloverland directors, and I know that city manager has been in contact with the governor's office. So if you go to SaultStMarie.com, which is the CBB's website, they have templates of the letters that you can fill out yourself and send to your legislators, send to MISO. There's a list in there of all the people that you should send them to. And we need to keep sustained pressure. I think things are going the right way, and coming out of those meetings, I think everybody felt that this issue will hopefully get resolved, but keep sustained pressure on all of these groups. And thank you to Linda Hoth and the city for doing the right things. And I know that we had a resolution last meeting that we had distributed to all of the concerned groups. So, but I think keep the pressure on.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments? How about commissioners, anything before we adjourn to our closed session? Commissioner Lynn.
Your Honor, so moved that we adjourn this meeting.
Support.
The move supported. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. We are adjourned.